Hello! Today is the 26th of September, which is the annual European Day of Languages, a day aimed at celebrating all the indigenous languages of Europe. To mark this, let's take a look at 5 smaller European languages you might not know. So, number 1 is Manx. Manx is the indigenous language of the Isle of Man, a crown dependency of the UK in the British Isles. It's a Goidelic Celtic language, and therefore closely related to Irish Gaelic and Scottish Gaelic, but also to Welsh, Breton and Cornish, and more distantly to the other Indo-European languages, such as English, Hindi, Spanish, Russian and Persian. In 1974, the last native speaker, Ned Madrell, died, although the language didn't go extinct because there was still a sizable number of second language speakers, thanks in part to Mr. Madrell, who took great pleasure in teaching it to people during the last years of his life. Today, use of the language is growing, and there are even a few dozen people who speak it natively once again, as well as over 2,000 adult second language users. Its writing system was based on early modern English, so is quite distinct from those of the other Goidelic languages. It's very inconsistent and has inherited many of the pitfalls of English writing. If you want to find out more about the language, or even learn to speak it, Omniglot has a few good pages, and there's a website, learnmanx.com, both of which you can find linked in the description. The next language is Corsican, a Romance language spoken by around 150,000 people on the island of Corsica, which is part of France. Despite being eclipsed by French, the language is more closely related to Italian, as a member of the Italo-Dalmatian branch of languages. The language's ancestor came to the island in the 11th century, when there was a large wave of immigration from the Republic of Pisa and surrounding areas of Tuscany. It's not fully known what language was spoken there before this time, except that in the ancient world it's likely to have been Etruscan. Today the language has been influenced by French. Despite having slowly gained official support over the last 50 years, in 2023 use of the language was banned in regional parliament and in official positions, and it still faces difficulty in its use. There are more resources available for learning the language in French, but I have linked to a basic English language course in the description. Elfdalian is the language of 2,000 to 3,000 people in the region around the town of Elfdarlin in Sweden. The Swedish government currently view it as a dialect of Swedish, even though the languages are not mutually intelligible, and the Council of Europe has repeatedly pushed for it to receive official recognition as a minority language. At present, many people in the region don't speak the language, and the rest are bilingual with Swedish. It's also completely unused in administration and education contexts. It was the last language to write using the ancient Germanic runes, using a descendant of the Viking script as late as 1929. It has several differences to the other North Germanic languages, including several vowel changes, similar to those that took place in English and German. Ullumdalska is the organisation leading publicity and teaching efforts for the language, and their website has plenty of resources to find out more, including books in and about the language, games, and merchandise to help promote the language and fund the organisation's activities. Next we have Tat, a language spoken by a few tens of thousands of people in the North Caucasus, right at the edge of Europe. The main concentrations of speakers live in Azerbaijan and the Russian Republic of Dagestan. It's an Indo-Iranian language closely related to Persian, although the two are not mutually intelligible. Tat is the language of the Muslims of the area. There's a separate but closely related language called Judaeo-Tat, which is spoken by the Jews. A variety of Tat also exists for the Christians, but this is on the brink of extinction. Both Tat languages are endangered, with most speakers switching to Azerbaijani, although at present there are still a good number of active speakers. If you want to learn more about Muslimtat, you may struggle, although I have found a couple of videos, and there seems to be a bit more about Judaeo-Tat, which I've also linked. So, the final language on this list is Erzya, the only language in this video that isn't part of the Indo-European family. In fact, this is a Uralic language, making it related to Finnish, Hungarian and Estonian. It's also the largest language on this list, with 300,000 speakers in the Russian Republic of Mordovia, and more in other areas of the country, and in Armenia, Estonia and Kazakhstan. It was first documented at the end of the 17th century, and several books and documents in the language have been written since then, particularly in the interwar period. Today it's written in the Cyrillic script, but a Latin alphabet does also exist, which was briefly popular in the early 30s. If you're interested in learning more about the language, the website of Erzya, an organisation working to promote the language and culture of the Urzia people, has some good information. I've also linked to a very thorough course by linguists from the University of Tartu in Estonia. Thank you for watching. I hope you learned something. Let me know if you did. Remember to check out the resources for all the languages mentioned in the description.